Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Last Buzz podcast brought to you by Alan Huskanovich, aka Husky, and me, Glenn Berlatano, Glenny B. What is up, Ale? How's it going?
How you doing, brother? I'm doing good, man. First epi. You
First
gotta get it through,
epi, yeah, first epi, bit of nerves, that's normal. But
Yep.
before we get into anything, this first episode is not brought to you by Lunchly, the new the new best lunch for your kids at school, $4.
Yep.
It gets you a little prime bottle, a little
Yep.
feastable chocolate bar, and the
Yep.
most questionable food that you can put in your kid's belly. But who cares? It's supporting 3 YouTubers as if they weren't rich enough. But with that
Yep.
ad read out of the way that we're
Yep.
not getting paid for,
Yep.
let's introduce ourselves. Alain,
Yep.
would you go first?
Yeah. So I'm Alan, aka Husky. All goes with the last name. Glenn and I we've been buds for years now. Started playing hockey together. Decided to leave my ass and fly across the pond here in Canada. Go to Calgary, and we just figured out, we're having those chats once a week over FaceTime, content sometimes between us. It's pretty mint. So we just figured out, might as well put in a podcast and put it on YouTube so that other people can see what happens in our lives.
That's it. Being a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, as you can see, I had enough of Alain's trolls with Tampa being such a crappy team the last couple of years that I just said, screw it. Let's fly across the country with my fiance. I'm living in Calgary, Alberta. Calgary is my third team. It goes Tampa,
No construction
Montreal,
there.
Calgary. No, absolutely no construction there, or here, I should say.
No.
And yeah, a bit about myself. I'm a 28-year-old pigeon who's in the construction industry.
Yep.
Hard on the body, but I like it. The days go super quick.
That's why you look.
And
That's why you look so good, Glenn.
a bit more about myself. I love sports, specifically hockey. This podcast, guys, is honestly going to be us talking about whatever is on our minds.
Yep.
More so hockey, but Alain and I are huge Formula One fans. He loves the NFL. I barely watch it, but we're in a fantasy.
Not a big deal,
fantasy thing together. So, yeah, guys, we're very excited. We're doing our first episode here. It's not going to be the cleanest, smoothest product, but who the fuck cares? Let's just put it out there for people to consume or not, because we're going to have like 3 fans.
Yeah, exactly. All our buddies, anyways, we're going to be sharing the video to them anyways, so might as well just post on YouTube, get some following, and it's on a whim here, We have a basis. I think I have 4 words on a piece of paper here on what's scheduled for this episode, and we'll see where it goes,
That's it.
But,
so,
yeah.
What do you want to talk about first here? I said F1 right off the top. You weren't able to watch the race, but it was in Baku, Azerbaijan, street circuit. So right off the top, Sergio Perez, the weirdest warm-up routine that you've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't know what he's doing, but this guy for the last 11 races, LA, he hasn't been on the podium. Very long stretch here. So this guy finally. He's outperforming Verstappen. It's like, who is this guy? It's like the first time in months, years, that he's doing better than Verstappen. And he was in 3rd place the whole fucking race. And then near the end, I think it was like lap 50 of 51.
Yeah, I saw that.
He gets passed by Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz a bit too fast, so he has to brake a bit too much going into the corner. Sergio Perez catches up a bit. They're going up the straight, and then Sainz, he's following the racing line, and then Perez, that pigeon, just ever so slightly turns into Sainz's car. And I don't know if you've heard the audio of Sainz. He was like, "Oh,
no, I didn't." All I saw is that I think that Perez just ran to him to like tap his helmet or something. Not even sure what happened there.
Yeah, like, so disrespectful. It's not like a friendly tap, like, "Hey, sorry, bud." It was like, fuck you, what are you doing? You just ruined my podium. Now it's 12 races that I can't have a fucking trophy. But he doesn't deserve one.
I got
But
Donnie Rick on my back. Everyone's talking about him, and like I want to keep my seat, but
I
definitely
don't
not
know.
something
I
that's
really
going
don't
his way this
know.
year.
Yeah, I really
Well,
don't know
even Red
why.
Bull as a whole, it's the first time McLaren's been number one in the construction ship since I think 2012. Fact check me, I can't. If I'm
Yeah,
wrong, we'll see
yeah,
if we
I
can
have no
edit it
idea
later
if
on this
that's
video.
true. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the first time I saw it. McLaren first time leading the construction ships. That's I think 2012. I'll have to double check.
2012.
We'll put it here somewhere on the video. But
But
happy
yeah,
for them on the other side. No Norris. Um,
Norris.
good
It's
teammate. Good teammate. Nice little champagne shower with the
true.
team after the race.
The papaya rules really came in clutch for Lando.
Yeah.
Um, but Oscar Piastri, this guy, he's young as shit, but he's
Yep.
super poised. Doesn't
Yep.
show any stress out there in the vehicle. And
Mm-hmm.
what is he, like 21 years old? Not even.
Yeah.
Fact check me
Something
on
like that.
that.
Fact check.
But
Another fact check.
but the tweet I kept seeing was the fact that in just 18 months he has two
Mm-hmm.
wins,
Yep.
and Lando in 6 years also has two wins. So
Yeah.
who's the true number one in McLaren? I think we'll see in the last few races here. But
Yeah. I think it's tough to like on Norris's side. McLaren's been building up the car to what it is now. To the years when he started, where the team was struggling, but
yeah,
obviously something
true.
that we'll have to take a look at. And like you mentioned, the papaya rules. Um, saying that the team saying that they'll do everything in their possible for Norris to potentially win the drivers' championship as well. And we all saw how the qualifications went for him. So, but he caught up, got into the points. I'm pretty sure he passed Verstappen too. So, still one
Yeah,
up
yeah, he
him in
did.
this race, and we'll see what happens in the last couple of races. But
Yeah,
Perez is a
last thing
big one.
yeah, exactly. Perez, back to Perez. Last thing I wanted to say about the Formula One race before we move on to some hockey
Yep.
is, yeah, dude, I just feel like Perez is one of those guys who just can't take any accountability for fuck ups that he's done. Like this
Yep.
one was bad. Like, yes, it wasn't like a drastic turn into signs,
Yep.
but you know, you hit his car, you ruined your chance at that point it was going to be fourth place, could have
Mm-hmm.
been third,
Yep.
but I don't know, man. 12 races, like I said, without a podium. We will see.
Yep.
Who knows? I would love to see Ferrari get up there. I would love to see Leclerc win the fucking drivers championship, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's what on Bet three
Little
six five.
reach. Little reach.
On Bet365, what is that? A 40-1?
That's generous. That's generous.
Really?
I think I would go lower than that because
Yeah,
it's going to be a tough one for this. Maybe next year we'll see what happens, but for this year I think they'll focus on Norris and Verstappen to see
yeah.
who will take over the drivers' championship this year. So
All right.
we'll keep
Well,
you guys updated on
yeah,
that topic throughout the season.
yeah. That's out of the way now, Alain.
Yep.
The real reason why we're here is hockey. We love this
Yep.
sport. It's been a
Yep.
long summer ish. Um, yeah, dude. You want to jump right into it? What do you want to talk about first?
What's happening right now in the league? Obviously, training camps are about to open. Um, we'll see what happens throughout the league. I think what we can do is do a quick overview of the Eastern Conference this epi, go over the Atlantic Metropolitan Divisions, take a look at the standings from last year, and give our predictions, give our hot takes. I think it'll be maybe we can keep the Atlantic Division last for this epi, obviously because both the Bolts, the terrible
Okay.
Bolts, the Tampa Bay Golden Knights Atlantic
Yes. Yeah,
Division,
we'll
and we
get
can
into
start with
that
the
later.
Metropolitan. Yeah,
You want to start with the
so we can start
Metropolitan?
with that. Yeah, let's
All
go ahead
right.
with that. I have the list right here in front of me. So last year, Rangers won the division, and who completed the playoffs in that division was the Hurricanes, the Islanders, and the Capitals somehow. Barely making it.
The
We had
cap.
the Penguins, the Flyers, the Devils, and the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
I'll start by asking you that. So, Glenn, I named you the four teams that made the playoffs. We have the Rangers, Hurricanes, Islanders, and Capitals. Do you think that any of those teams will not be making the playoffs this year?
Yes.
One or
Yes.
more, obviously.
I
You can be
think
ambiguous.
I'm just going to say the only team out of the four that will not make playoffs again, for me, are the Capitals. Even though they've had strong additions this offseason,
Mm-hmm.
um, I just think the Devils, they had an off year,
Yeah.
lots of injuries, and I think they're going to be back to normal. They're going to be in the playoff hunt. I think I'm going to go as far as to say they might win the Metropolitan Division. Lots of youth there. They just
Yep.
signed a very good, or sorry, did they sign or trade for Markstrom,
Yeah. So Markstrom. So
the
I
goalie there?
they traded for Markstrom.
They traded for
Yeah,
Markstrom.
he was acquired. I think Kevin Ball was part of the equation going back to them.
Okay,
Um,
yeah,
the
yeah,
player that was acquired, I think, for like Taylor Hall back in his day. So
really, all
elite
for ball.
defenseman. Just trolling here, but honestly, like great addition. You named it. You know the Devils potentially winning the conference here. I have it here. So the additions this year: Jacob Markstrom in nets, bringing some veteran experience at the blue line with Pesci, Dillon, bringing back the goat Tomas Tatar, bringing some
Ta-ta!
heaviness. You know, like they're they're a very skilled team up front, but bringing
Yeah.
like Nason, the
Mm-hmm.
Carolina power play star, you know, tipping goals here and there, like and Cotter as well in exchange for Alexander Holtz that left the team.
Mm-hmm.
Holtz, I don't know if you know much about him, but he was a young kid last year. Didn't get to play much, a lot on the fourth line. So they did like a 1v1 trade with Vegas to bring Cotter back to bring more strength on that fourth line.
Yeah.
Other departures, they had Marino leave, Brendan Smith. So they did a lot of one-on-one replacement in their roster, like you mentioned. You know, all the injuries. Obviously, Luke Hughes starting with the injury this year,
Yeah, that's
not
tough.
something that they would like, but they brought some good guys this off season, and I agree with you. I think the Devils have a good chance of winning that division.
Yeah.
Why? On my side, Rangers, Hurricanes, they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're both good teams. Rangers, kind of an odd off season in a way. They lost a few older guys: Wheeler, Tampa Bay Goat Goodrow, Alex Wenberg, Gustafson, the biggest liability on the blue line. So that actually might be a
Yeah.
good thing. Same thing for the Hurricanes. Big losses with Jake Gensel not being able to re-sign. Teravainen going back to Chicago. Kuzi back in Russia, tearing it up with
Mm,
my boy Demidov.
Demidov.
I think overall the Hurricanes still a better team in my opinion. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hurricanes would end second in the division.
Okay.
Right up front, the Rangers. But I do agree with you. Capitals. Not sure what's gonna happen. PLD, is he gonna do anything with that team? They didn't
He's going to
bring
have another shift. You've seen the video of the shift where his knee flexion was at zero. He just skated like a stick
uh,
for a minute and a half. It was absolutely brutal. But more about the which team am I talking about here? Washington Capitals.
mhm.
Look, like even though people could say it was a fluke last year that they made it into the playoffs, I feel like they're very well coached, and they did bring in some good guys. Taylor Radish from Tampa, Logan Thompson. I heard that him and Charlie Lindgren, they both catch with, is it the left or the right? It's like two
Right glove. They're both
right
right
glove.
glove goalies.
Most goalies are left glove, so who knows?
Yeah,
That could trick a lot of teams coming into the Washington building will have to
yeah,
study some tape on how to beat these two goalies. They got Matt, was it Matt Raw or Roy from Los
yeah,
Angeles, good defenseman.
yeah,
Chikrin, I think he has a lot to prove.
yeah.
So, and it's Dubois. He's a huge unknown, and
Hmm.
Mangiapane. Um,
Calgary
he was in
legend.
Calgary legend, but now I feel like they bolstered up this team quite a bit here. So although I did say they're not going to make the playoffs, I
Hmm.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they somehow sneak in and it's the Islanders, the boring ass Islanders, who don't make it into the playoffs. Like,
You don't think Patrick Roy what is going to have anything to do with them this year? Bring some physicality to the
true,
team, maybe cut down on that defensive style that they have. Um, Not a lot of
true.
additions, usual for the Islanders. Losing some guys, bringing back Matt Martin on a PTO. I'm not even sure why they're doing that. That guy's been on the
These are
team now for a long time, so just another goon.
40
But they
years.
did bring Anthony Duclair, and
Yeah.
they have Liam Foodie join the team. Old first round pick. Honestly, never really developed, but we'll see if Patrick Roy can, like, put him into shape or whatever and bring the best out of
No,
him.
but
But same
who
thing
wants
here. I
to
think it'll
see
be a tough race.
the Islanders in the playoffs though? Like, I don't know, just
News
something
fest.
about them having to shave their scalp and their facial hair just to be in the
Yeah.
lineup. Like, I don't know, get Lou that geezer out of there.
Yep.
I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
those are so your four playoff teams are the Rangers, Devils, and who are the other two? Hurricanes.
Hurricanes coming in for sure, and then honestly,
Awesome.
like I think it'll be very tight between the Islanders, Capitals, and the Penguins. Which
Penguins, man.
Crosby, the greatest captain probably in history now,
Yeah, yeah,
the greatest superstition guy, signing another $8.7 million deal with the
yeah.
Pens, but I think that team is just lacking the special oomph that they used to have in the past.
They're too
Not
old.
much change here too. Oldest team in the league.
Oldest team in the league.
Um,
Um, I don't even
yeah,
think they would. I feel like they're too old for some of these old timer beer leagues. Like it's mind blowing, mind boggling how I don't know. I feel like they completely screwed up the whole Gensel situation. I
yep,
feel like at the time they may have thought that they didn't have enough cap space.
yep,
Crosby wasn't signed at the time. Who knows if he was going to ask for north of 11 million per season, like he deserves. But
yep,
long term, Pittsburgh Penguins, I feel like they just traded away such a good young, like new face of the team once Crosby, Letang, and Malkin are out. But no,
yep.
they decided to re-up Letang and Malkin for like I think it was both 5-year contracts. I might be
Hmm.
wrong on one of those two, but just very
Carlson
questionable.
being added up to the squad last year. Weird
Yeah,
trade.
yeah. They
Um,
just have it's the new core four, but they're all old. So
Literally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. I can't see them making the playoffs. This league is too fast. Very young. These guys they need liquid IV after the games, and these new
Yeah.
kids just they brush it off. They have a bunch of Smarties and call it a night. So
I know it's a good thing that the new sponsors with the NHL are hydration beverages
yeah,
filled with electrolytes. I think that's something that maybe the Penguins requested to the league, to get
that's
them
it.
fueled up. But
That's it.
yeah, like you said, I think it'll be tough for them. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's no wild card team in that division. That only Rangers, Hurricanes, and Devils make it. We're not even going to talk about the Blue Jackets. Well,
Yeah,
obviously, tough off season for them with the story of the Gaudreaus. We could talk about it briefly.
yeah.
Terrible, terrible story. Um,
It's a
our
horrible
thoughts are with the
accident.
family. Terrible thing that happened. I watched the ceremonies online. Anything that happened, and honestly, it was very touching to see like the hockey communities come, even Calgary, like seeing all the memorials for Calgary. I saw them. They actually started cleaning it up this weekend.
Did it?
They were talking about all the jerseys will be recycled into blankets to be gifted to different organizations throughout the city. The hockey sticks, they'll make benches out of them apparently
Oh,
to put
cool.
around the arena. So his memory will definitely be remembered around Calgary, and his legacy will live on both with the city of Calgary and the Blue Jackets. So
Yeah, and the whole league.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'll just touch on it quickly. Such a horrible thing. The first night that I made the Twitter account for this
mm-hmm.
podcast, the
Yeah,
first thing I saw was
yeah,
like people are saying that Johnny Gaudreau and his brother passed away, and I was like,
mm-hmm.
what? Like,
Yeah,
you read something like that, and you're just like, people are making up a brutal, like a horrible lie. You can never say something
mm-hmm.
like that. But the next
It's
morning,
shocking.
woke up and the news was unfortunately true, and such a
Yeah,
shitty situation. So for the
yeah,
Columbus Blue Jackets, unfortunately, their best player, is not there, and you know, I the one bright spot with this team, I feel like Adam Fantilli. It'll be his second
mm-hmm.
year. Like, you know, it's
Yeah,
he's going to have to take the reins in some sort of way, but just a lot of pain in this
yeah,
organization, and um, I don't see them making the
yeah,
playoffs, obviously, but I just hope that
yeah.
everyone is able to move on from this as best as they can. It's just
Exactly.
such a crappy situation.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully a brighter future for them, like you say, for their process coming up. But unfortunately, with the whole situation, yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be a tough season for them, definitely. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them once again last in the division, but obviously hoping for the best for the organization, seeing how Johnny impacted the community, just to see them grow. We'll wish them the best, obviously.
yeah.
And then the last team, kind of a cold cut towards them, the Flyers.
Flyers.
Um, what a team!
What a team
Uh,
that's not going to make the playoffs.
John Tortorella, we'll see how long he lasts. If he lasts the whole season, if he keeps going with his shenanigans of last year, if he goes back to
John
how it was at the
Tortorella.
beginning of the season. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with all those young kids and how we know that the new kids are maybe not as willing to take the criticism and the Tortorella that can happen to them. But yeah, so that's why I wouldn't be surprised if honestly no wild card teams come out of that division, and the big three, like we said, Rangers, Devils, and Hurricanes, take over that division.
I see that happening. So, do you want to talk about our favorite division in the NHL? The
Yes, sir.
Atlantic Division?
Let's move on to the
All right.
Atlantic Division.
All right.
Um,
You do the honors. I
yeah,
want to hear who made the playoffs last season.
yeah. Let's start with that. So last year, like we mentioned, both division had four teams making the playoffs. So one wild card team on both. In the Atlantic, we had the Panthers finishing first, 1 point ahead of the Boston Bruins,
Boston.
um, followed closely by the Maple Leafs, and then your Tampa Bay Lightning squeezed in the playoffs due to the terrible performance at the end of the season by the Red Wings.
True. They
We'll not
fucked
talk
up.
about that yet,
Yeah.
but let's just say we had a side bet, and obviously Glenn won that one. We'll talk
Yes,
about that in a
sir.
bit. And the last three teams in that division: Sabres, Senators, and my Montreal Canadiens. Not gonna complain about that one because we got Ivan Demidov.
True.
So what we can do is we can start um, out of the four teams. So the Panthers, Bruins, Maple Leafs, and the Lightning. Glenn,
Yes.
do you think if any will not be making the playoffs this year?
Well, before I talk about who I think will not make the playoffs, let me say who will and who's going to win the division. It's my Tampa Bay Lightning. It's my Tampa Bay Lightning. No, I'm kidding. Out of these four teams, this is to me the strongest division in the whole NHL. Um, Even though we'll talk about the Western divisions next episode, but something about these four teams that made the playoffs last year, they're going to be back with a vengeance. And then you got teams who, over the course of the last, like, what, 5 to 10 years, it's been the story of the Ottawa Senators, Sabres, and Red Wings. Which one of these freaking three teams is going to make the playoffs? And it's not even those three teams. It's the Montreal Canadiens. I think they've had such a great off season, and not even just off season. The last 3 years has been such a great troll of the league. The GM Kent Hughes, I believe,
Yep.
right? Kent Hughes. This guy is just trolling any general manager that he speaks to,
Yep.
and he
The
keeps
goat.
making the good moves that he has to at the right time. I honestly think the Canadians will be right at the wild. They're going to be fighting for a wild card, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, and it pains me to say this. I think Tampa will be. It's between Tampa and Montreal, which is great. I feel like it's going to be a great season for you and I to follow
Mm-hmm.
the league because the Habs are your favorite team, Tampa's my
Yep.
team.
Yep.
But I don't know. Panthers are too good. Boston,
Yep.
they're coached unbelievably, even though they've had a lot of um, what's it called departures that which we'll talk about shortly. I
Yep.
still think that they proved so many people wrong this past season.
Yep.
Who says that they can't do it again? So yeah, I'll toss it over to you. Who do you think is not going to make the playoffs out of these four teams?
Yeah. So in within these four teams, there's only one team that I don't think will make the playoffs. But I think that two teams from that division will get the wild card spot. I think, like you said, I agree. It's a strong division. I think it'll be a very close race this year. Hopefully, if the Sabres and the Senators figure it out on their end. But I think that the Wings will finally go back to the playoffs this year, potentially.
Really?
That's a hot take, and I think, and I'm hoping that the Habs will slide in.
Slide
Um,
in.
we were talking about the Habs. The Habs. The only addition signing this year was Alex Barré-Boulet from your Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll see what that pans out if he
Another
gets a role.
Frenchie.
Another French dude, make a vast majority of our fan base happy. We lost a few guys,
Yeah.
um, Tanner Pearson, Kovacevic. We got a good round pick for him. So honestly, I wish him the best for the Devils. Great defenseman. I think he'll be a great um, like defensive D for the Devils on the third pair, the
Yeah.
seven defensemen. So
Stay
I think that'll
home.
be
Stay a
good.
home defenseman.
Yeah, and then maybe the last one I want to mention is Chris Weinman announced his retirement today.
Really?
The day that we're recording, the 17th. So I don't know. We'll probably release it later on. But yeah, I had a tough injury that made him miss last year, and today it was announced that he was going to retire. So best of retirement for
Brutal.
him. It was honestly fun
Yeah.
to see him. Came back to the league after his KHL stunt, after his little Uber endeavors, where him and his Ottawa Senators fan got a little bit in a pickle, like some would say. But great career whatsoever. Did great for the Habs for the season he was with us, and only wish him for the best. But like you
Yeah.
said, the Habs, it wasn't that much of the offseason acquisition, more than obviously Patrick Liney. We can just cross over that.
No, no.
Another great trade from Went Hughes, the goat of GMs right now. He's doing whatever he wants. He has an idea, he'll just execute it. Getting Kirby Doc healthy this year.
Yeah.
I think we'll have a strong top six. On the D side, obviously, Lane Hudson will be a stud, probably a Calder contender.
I agree.
Logan Mayu, seeing him wear the C during the two like rookie camp games against Toronto, just shows of his development. I heard Francis Bouillon today talk during like at the end of the rookie camp.
Yeah.
He said that Mayu is a player that will definitely be a strength in the NHL.
Really.
It's not up to him, obviously, to see what will happen. Obviously, his draft year, we all know what happened. We'll just talk about it briefly, but had decided not even to had informed the teams not to be drafted. due to what he had done. He wanted to take some time off of hockey, but obviously Bergevin back in the days did whatever he want. So someone might consider it as a steal of the draft. Now that obviously that's behind him, and we saw him mature, and he got obviously the help that he wanted, and he's been helping in the community with that. So I think he'll be a force. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. Him and
Really?
Xhekaj on the last pair with the Habs. Tough defenseman
Yeah.
pairing to play against. Hudson, obviously, I think will make it if he's paired up with Savard. We'll see him do whatever he wants on the ice.
Hmm.
Um, ANU PK, so I think he'll be a fine favorite. But if they make the playoffs, I see him squeaking in alongside the Wings. So I
Really?
think Tampa, the reason why I don't see him making the playoffs this year is that, like I was mentioning at the beginning of the episode, the Tampa Bay Golden Knights. Um, I'll
Oh,
let you talk about it more. I want to
it,
know how you feel about your team and what they've
so
done this off season.
I looked under the hood and I was like, you know what? They got rid of Stamkos, and I was like, they got rid of a captain. It's not
Yep.
the first time that they've gotten rid of a captain. They've gotten rid of fucking Saint Louis and Le
Yep.
Cavalier.
Yep.
Those three players are the reason why I like the Tampa Bay Lightning since I was 8 years old. And
Yep.
every GM that has had those players in their roster, they just decided to trade them or let them go. And this one hurts, I think, the most for me because Steven Stamkos, although he's had some tough injury years, the last couple years of hockey, he's been at like the top of his game. He's great on the power play, great chemistry with Point and Kucherov, and
Mm-hmm.
you know the news this offseason was that Tampa offered a 8 year times 3 million AAV, and
What a joke.
that's a slap in the face if you're Steven Stamkos. And
Yep.
you know, who knows if they just wanted to give a lowball offer so that Steven and his family were like, you know what, let's let this go and let's look at some other teams to go to. And I
Yep.
think it was great that he signed with Nashville, another tax-free state in Tennessee. Those
Not a big
guys,
deal.
he's trolling, but what I like is that they signed Gensel.
Yep.
Who knows how the power play one will look? I feel like they've had the same look to their power play the last few seasons, and it's being a
Yep.
bit. It's kind of gotten slightly repetitive. So who
Mm-hmm.
knows if Gensel and the other four guys on that top unit, Hedman, Point, Kucherov, and some other random pigeon like Nick Paul in front of the net, greasy goals in the mixer. We'll see
Yep.
if there's a new look. But yeah, man, why they seem like the Golden Knights is that there's no fucking loyalty
Nope.
from upper management, it seems, and they just got rid of their fucking the former first round pick and their captain for so many
Yep.
years for nothing.
Yep.
So Vegas, we'll talk about them next episode. They're a
Yep.
savage. They're a savage organization. They didn't even sign Marchessault.
Yeah.
He also
Let's
went to
let's not get ahead
Nashville.
of ourselves
Yeah.
here, like you
So,
said.
but yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning,
Yep.
brutal.
And I agree
Brutal.
with all the points you bring up. Like you mentioned, like leaving Stamkos, Sergachev, few other pieces. Duclair leaving the team, the legend Tanner Jeannot leaving after
My
being
God,
acquired for 4 first-round picks and a couple more picks. He's
40
gone.
picks.
40 picks for that one trade. Honestly, a highlight of that season, I believe. But they've added some good pieces, like you
They
mentioned.
did.
Gensel, McDonough being coming back to Tampa, adding Atkinson,
Blue guy.
JJ Moser that they got coming back from Sergachev. I think he'll be a good piece. Obviously, he won't be replacing Sergachev, but Hedman will have to step up. Um, they got a good, I think, fourth line center in Gergensen, like PK specialist. He'll be doing a good job. And the Habs legend, Jesse Ilonen, I honestly hope
Habs
that
legend.
he's able to crack the lineup. The Habs legend. And it might sound like contradictory when I'm saying where I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm naming all these great additions. But I think what will happen with Tampa this year is that they've been getting used to having the same core for the last 3 4 years, getting into a routine
Yeah,
with John Cooper as well. I think there's a lot of changes that happen. Maybe not bad changes. It'll be different. Maybe they'll have a tough beginning of season. I'll go ahead with a hot take here, and I think that if Tampa doesn't start like everyone expects them to do, obviously I don't wish it, but I wouldn't be surprised if John Cooper might leave the team to really start fresh. Like we said,
yeah.
the a good part of the core left. I'm not sure. Like obviously, he's the coach with the longest tenure with
Longest
the league. I'm
tenure
not sure if
coach
that's a
in the
proper
league.
word, Frenchy here.
Yeah,
Yeah. So maybe, like you say, the message cannot pass the same anymore. Maybe the new players will help out with that, but we'll definitely see. I still don't have to make the playoffs because of our bet, both of us. I'd like to remind you that we're doubling down. So I lost
doubling
last
down.
year. The
$50
the
last
whole
year
Yeah, they made the playoffs, so I took an L, but I'm confident doubling it down. So 100
for
on
Tampa,
both
not
sides.
both
Exactly.
sides. Oh well,
Yeah, so I'm getting my money back. I'm getting the hundo. If Tampa misses the playoffs, I'm getting back my $100.
and what if they do make the
If they do,
playoffs?
then I'm saucing you the 100. I'm taking an L and I'm never betting against the Bolts anymore.
But yeah,
This is
dude.
my last time.
But dude, back to the Red Wings before. We have a close
Yep.
friend, Chris Cacciatore, who's the
Yep.
team growing up, okay?
Yep.
And we've asked him over the years, like, do you think this is the season that the Red Wings will make the playoffs? And he's always like, you know what? Like, maybe they'll just squeak in. And I think this year again, they I just don't see it. I don't see it. I almost got spoofed on freaking Twitter. A fake Elliot Friedman account tweeted that like, oh, sounds like Swayman is being traded to the to Detroit.
Oh my
So I
god.
was like, oh my god, like this is breaking news for the podcast. Like I can't wait to tell Chris. And then I
Yeah.
clicked on the guy's profile, 1.3K followers. So I got
Bank account went to $0, wondering what happened there.
yeah, I got somped on that one. But yeah, Detroit, I feel like people are getting a bit impatient with the Iser plan,
Yeah.
and the fans might just um, burn the guy's house down, like in 8 Mile, where they would just burn random houses down for fun.
Yeah.
They're pissed.
Well,
They deserve to be in the playoffs,
yeah.
so or
They
do
have
they?
the core. Kane coming back. They added Tarasenko this offseason. They added Cam Talbot, Jack Campbell. They're up to, I think, 7 goalies now that are NHL ready or potential NHL starters. So we'll see what they do with all that kerfuffle. They brought in the GOAT that I mentioned earlier, Eric Gustafson. I think he'll do great on the PK, replacing Gustis Behere that left the team. So we'll
Yeah,
see. Shout out to my boys for calling him Behere.
yeah,
But other departures, they lost David Perron. Robbie Farry was doing good. They gave Wallman and they gave a pick to San Jose to take his contract. So I think the Wings were expecting maybe something big after that trade, but nothing really happened. And Daniel Sprong as well, West Island boy, left the team. So I I'll still, like I say, it's a reach a bit thinking that Wings will make the playoffs. We'll see how the team goes. I think they have a good core. And we'll see, like you say, like if the Iser plan will work in Detroit the
yeah.
same way it did for the Bolts before leaving and giving the reins to Julien Brisebois.
Julien.
So Julien Brisebois, un gars du Québec.
So
Um,
to recap, like the
yeah,
youth, which four teams do you have making the playoffs?
yeah. So to recap, um, so Montreal Canadiens, Red Wings, both I think will squeeze in the playoffs. My top three. Um, Panthers will be good this year, obviously defending Stanley Cup champions. I think they'll be doing good this year again. Not sure they'll win the division. Same thing for the Bruins. I think I'm going to go on the Biz train and think that the Maple Leafs might win the division this year.
I could see it.
Um,
I could see it happening.
they lost a few pieces. Bertuzzi leaving. Klingberg was never really there. They lost TJ Brody. Samsonov changed the team. Giordano, we're still not sure if he's going to come back or if he'll sign with another team. Um, Lyubushkin as well, the big solid defenseman. They lost him, but he got replaced by Kristanev. They got Ekman Larson coming out of a Stanley Cup. And what I think will be um, maybe the surprise is Anthony Stolars, the backup goalie for the Panthers that just signed.
Yeah,
Um, he's
he,
a monster.
he's
I think he's 6'7", 6'8". Um, I think he was always meant to be potentially pushing for his starter position, but obviously, when you're paying Bobrovsky $10 million a year, it's not going to happen there.
no.
But with the Leafs, Justin Wohl, I think great coming up goalie. But I think if Stolars plays good, and honestly, you can see it with Markstrom and the other goalies, like the new era, all the goalies are very tall, very big, athletic. I think that he might actually be the surprise, and he might be able to build a great tandem, a bit like the Bruins had last year with Allmark and Swayman. So that team, their core stayed the same. I think they're always doing good in the regular season. The playoffs is something else, but I think that's what will push them over the edge and win that division this year. And like you said, you agreed. So I'd be curious to see who do you think will finish second. You think Panthers will go back, or you think Bruins will also do better potentially than the Panthers
No,
this year?
I think the order will be Maple Leafs, Panthers,
Mm-hmm.
Bruins, and then a toss up between Tampa and Habs. Let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
Florida right quick. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers for their win over the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Um, a couple of guys. Once you win the Stanley Cup, some of these UFAs, that's the biggest payday, right? You got Brandon Montour
Exactly.
leaving. You got a couple other guys. Lamborghini, he dipped. Cousins, I think he signed a
Lamborghini.
1 year deal, for I don't even know who he's with, but I'm surprised he didn't
Yeah.
get more than $1 million. Tarasenko, like you said, went to Detroit. Oliver Ekman
Yep.
Larson, he dipped, but some
Yep.
interesting or not so interesting, I should say, additions, but still the same coach, and for the most
Yep.
part, same core. So I think they're good. They're going to do very well. Second place, Boston. I think we glossed over it before, but decent
Yep.
amount of departures here,
Yep.
and a couple additions, and Lindholm and Zadorov, Corpusalo via trade with
Yeah.
Ottawa. Let's talk about
Yep.
Ottawa in a bit. Allmark leaving, DeBrusque leaving, Van Riemsdyk, the pigeon, the real pigeon.
The real pigeon.
So yeah, like I said, like I think Boston is just very well coached,
Yep.
and I don't know, like those are my top three: Toronto, Panthers, Boston,
Yep.
and
I would agree with you.
and
I
then
think we have the same top three here. So
Tampa Habs for
um,
that fourth place. And quickly, because we have so many fans, we have to talk about the Ottawa Senators and the Buffalo
yep.
Sabres.
Yep.
Who out of these teams do you believe will get the closest to the playoffs but won't make it again?
The closest to the playoffs. Honestly, I think that both of these organizations need to figure it out. I don't think any of them will actually come close to the playoffs this year.
Okay, bottom
Um,
feeders.
I'm not sure. Like, I think we mentioned the Bruins and how they traded Allmark to the Senators. I think we can start with that team. I'll quickly glance over the additions and the departures, and I'll let you, um,
Chime in.
give your thoughts before I absolutely blast both of the teams. Unfortunately, Ottawa Senators, they brought in a number one goalie with Allmark, got rid of Corbusal's contract in the same time. So I think that was a win for them. They bring talent and grid with David Perron. A few more pieces added throughout the year. They lost Chikrin, which clearly was not a match with that team. Not sure what happened. Mathieu Joseph left, Kubalik left, and Eric Branson as well. So what they thought could be a great defenseman, but never panned out. So I think that's the story. On my side, I'll say quickly before I pass it over, but I think Ottawa, I've seen no improvements. Not sure what will happen this year. I don't see anything getting any better. I think obviously um, there's no cohesion in that team.
No
Um,
cohesion.
there's rumors already of Brady Kachuk potentially leaving in the near future. I think until those rumors get, you know, confirmed or just completely being false, we'll see what happens. But there's too much. There's too much unknowns. There's not enough cohesion. Like I said, once again, I'm gonna say cohesion a third time to make sure everyone understood I said cohesion. But I just think it's a mess.
Yeah.
Every year, everyone says they'll make the playoffs by a large
Margin.
margin, and they disappoint us every year. What do you think?
No, I agree. I have a buddy who I'm seeing next week in Montreal who's a big
Yep.
Senators fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel for the kid. I feel for the kid, even though look, Allmark, he's a former what is it, fucking Vezina? I don't even know what the goalie
Yep.
trophy is. Vezina winner. He got
Yep.
traded. I feel like he's obviously the starter. Who's the second goalie there?
Anton Forsberg. Honestly,
Forrester.
not so bad as a second goalie. A bit smaller, but
Yeah,
definitely I think Olmark will take the number one spot.
yeah. So we know they have strong goaltending. The issue is their defensive structure. Will it sort
Yep.
of really showcase like how you need a great defensive game to help out your goalies in net to
Mm-hmm.
save these pucks. You want to limit the
Yep.
amount of shots that your goalie gets, and I feel like Ottawa, Allmark is going to be peppered. He's going to wish he never fucking went to Canada to play hockey. Especially Ottawa, the fact that they have their arena in a field
Literally.
not close to the downtown Ottawa area. It's just like
Yep.
it's such a bad feeling driving up to that rink. It's
Yep.
rainy. It just rains. Only rains on top of the arena. It's crazy
Yep.
when you
No
go there.
clouds around.
No.
Yep.
So yeah, like I like the only good positive thing is David Perron. I feel like he's a good guy in the
Yep.
room. I believe he's won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues, so
Mm-hmm.
obviously they brought him in for that sort of um, what's the word I'm looking for, experience in the
Yep.
playoffs. But I just don't feel like it's enough, and I feel like Brady Kachuk. This might be like, imagine he doesn't make the playoffs again. He's never
I
put the
know.
poor guy's never made it into playoffs.
Yeah.
What he's gonna
And
have
the
it
guy's built for the playoffs. Like
built.
I think he would just crush it like his brother did this year with the Panthers,
Yeah,
but his team's just not giving him the chance. I think that's where the rumors that
yeah.
we're mentioning before are coming from. So
And they brought some size in with Amadio. I feel like he's a great third or fourth line guy. Bring some energy, get some
yeah,
pucks out of the corner. But yet again, it's the Ottawa Senators that we're talking about. And last team of the division, the Buffalo
yeah,
Sabres. I feel like these guys have taken another step back. Like just such a boring off
yeah,
season for these guys. What do you think about this team, LA?
yeah. I'm so glad you asked me that question because I can see it here. The number one addition that they have this year is Ryan McLeod from the Edmonton Oilers. And the price they paid to get him is Matthew Savoy. So Ryan McLeod, the guy, obviously speedster, great player, but I don't know if you know much about Matthew Savoy, but this kid, I think, will tear it up with the Edmonton Oilers. Never got a chance with the Sabres. Maybe he did a couple games, never got a real chance. But that was a shocker of a trade. I think he's a blue chip prospect. We'll see how he does with the Edmonton Oilers. But that's honestly, I think, the biggest L. They probably wanted experience, but McCall's not that much older. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. He'll do his job on the third line, potentially the second line, but putting Savoy next to McDavid, McJesus, or Draisaitl, adding James Reimer, Sam Lafferty, some grid with Jason Zucker. I don't think that's what they need. I think a bunch of the players are that gritty type player. I think they needed some pure offensive player, a bit what Savoy would have brought up. Um, and they lost Jeff Skinner, the GOAT. Obviously, they bought him out. Contract a bit too thick, but honestly, I wish him the best. I think he'll do good. I think he's also with Edmonton,
Yes, he
so
is.
kind of easy. He's going to explode as well. We'll talk about it when we talk about the Edmonton Oilers. They lost Gergensen, like I said, so he signed with Tampa. And then Victor Olofsson, same thing. He went with Vegas. Um, Pure goal scorer. I'm not sure about his all around game, but all I know is on the power play, it was a threat. So, like you said, um, not really sure what happened. Bringing back Lindy Ruff in the organization.
What are they doing?
Uh, I'll be surprised. Honestly, not wouldn't be surprised actually if they're the bottom of the division. Like every single team improved. I think it'll be a fight for last in the division between the Senators and Sabres. Unless the Detroit Red Wings like did disappoint me a lot, but I don't know what's happening with the Sabres. Like you said, strongest division. I think in the league, I would agree.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll change our minds when we talk about the Central and the Pacific next episode, but
Yeah.
I think it'll just be tough for them, especially with our bold predictions of Montreal, the Red Wings, maybe. Well, obviously Tampa Bay not making the playoffs, but
So
yeah. What do you think? Yeah, same.
no,
Yep, same thing again.
same thing as you, man. Like I don't know what the Sabres are doing. The only thing that's exciting about this franchise is the slim chance that they're going to bring back those old black, red, gray. What is that? Like a nice saber fucking head on top of that
Yep,
jersey. That's the only thing that's exciting. They got
yep,
Alex Tuck, who actually wants to be there. They got that giant fucker, Thompson, Tage Thompson, TT.
yep.
Um,
You know when the news coming out on Twitter this week is that all they wish is to keep those now potentially alternate jerseys forever.
yeah,
I don't see anything coming out of that team, so
yeah. So
I think it'll
another
be a
another
tough season
bottom
on their side.
feeder, Lindy Ruff. Like the guy's just too old for the league. I don't know why they got him. Like try a different coach from like the minors or something like that. You,
Yeah,
they keep recycling the same coaches, but gorgeous. But honestly, dude, those are our four teams. Like to recap,
yeah,
um, you know, this is our favorite division. We have our favorite
yeah.
teams that are in this division. So I'm very excited to see these guys going. And I think we can wrap up the NHL segment
Yep.
of this podcast. Ale, I've got a question for you.
Yeah. Shoot.
The buzzer beater bet. The buzzer beater bet. Triple B alliteration, everybody. What
Yep.
is your bet of the week, or it could be a future in the
I think.
NHL off the dome? What do you
I
have?
think it. I think it's gonna go for a future for this first episode.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm gonna go for Late Hudson, Calder Trophy winner. They're talking about celebrity. The Sharks not enough, not good enough a team. Matvey Michkov will be bench half the games by Tortorella. There's few other names coming up. I think Lane, if the Habs play him the whole season, if he gets the power play time that he deserves, might win the Calder Trophy. So that'll be my little tenor. We'll keep track of those bets throughout the season. Obviously, bet if you're allowed to. But for me, on this first epi, I'll probably put a tenner on late Hudson. I'll put it,
Calder winner.
on the video. Calder winner for me. How about
Calder
you, Glenn?
winner. Um, well, let me just segue into this Bet365 fake ad read. If you guys ever watch sports and you just want to look at your phone instead because nothing's exciting about the sports game, you go straight to the App Store, you get Bet365, you fucking deposit $20 in there, and you watch that sport or that game, wherever you're watching, and just get excited about that game. Okay? Put the phone down, watch a sport. But you know what my bet is for the season? It's not even a bet that you could place on
Go for it.
Bet365. It's Mitch Marner not staying with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think I think this team would be
Yeah.
stupid to sign this guy. I think he's going to be traded to some other fucking team. Mitch
Okay.
Marner. Like they
Okay.
yeah. Like I know you can't place this bet on Bet365. You should be able to. Maybe we should start our own betting company. And but honestly, dude, like Mitch Marner, the whole fucking fan base knows that he just doesn't show up in the playoffs. And look, one last chance. Craig Berube, the new coach of the Toronto
Yep.
Maple Leafs, this guy is a mean motherfucker. Let's see if he can change Marner's ways in the playoffs. But I just don't feel like he has that nastiness that you need in the playoffs to be successful. This guy can't go in the corners and come up with a puck. He's built like a yogurt tube, and I feel like with 1 year left on his contract, right, 1 year left, Toronto has two choices. They can re-sign him for either the same or more.
Yep.
That's going to put them in a really bad cap situation again. Do they want to
Yep.
afford that? I don't know. Or they could sign him, but not get a massive return because it's only technically a rental, or there's no
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that whoever trades for him that he's going to re-sign with that team. Like a Gensel
Yep.
situation, they might rip a first-round pick for him for Mitchie Marner, but I don't know. I think my hot take is that he's not going to be in the Toronto Maple Leafs come
Mm-hmm.
trade deadline.
All right. Hot take. I'll make sure to remind you so that whenever we get closer to trade deadline and maybe that prop gets added to remind you to place a tenner on it. Do I have your word on this one, Glenn?
Yeah, yeah, I'll put a
All
20.
right. Oh,
But
20 on him? All right. Let's see
but
what that
before
happens.
before we let our massive fan base get back to their regular lives, if
Yep.
they're still listening,
Yep.
is we're recording on Tuesday. Right now,
Yep.
it's September 17th. I, Glenny B, am traveling to Montreal to see LA Husky and some other boys for a nice
Yep.
weekend. Our friend Luigi's getting married. Shout out Lulu.
Lulu.
Lulu. Yeah, I'm super excited. Hopefully, we can record in person our first episode in the same room together.
Yep.
And I'm super excited for this weekend, not only to see you, but to see the boys play some golf, have some fun, and
Exactly.
yeah, man, I'm super excited. Super excited for the whole sports season. It's getting cold outside. People don't
Yep.
want to exit their apartment or their condo. What better thing to do to watch than to watch sports and have an
Exactly.
angry, a significant other in the other
Yep.
room because she doesn't like sports. So yeah, guys. Alain, any last words before we let this massive fan base go?
Yeah. And good thing you mentioned a massive fan base that's developing, growing day by day, for Seppi. Glenn and I discussed, and we're putting it out there, especially for the OGs in this episode. If you're still here watching and listening, we have a goal. Obviously, it's important to set goals, look forward for brighter days. We're putting it out there. The moment we'll reach, 8,000 subscribers. We will look through our first 1,000 subscribers, pull a random name, and you will get the chance to pick and choose your official Fanatics jersey of any NHL team you'd like. The brand new NHL sponsors. Glenn, you have any comments on that great company, Fanatics?
Yeah, great company, Fanatics. We saw over the week Montreal had a very questionable sweater, what's it called? Sweat lining around their shoulder pads. I don't know what this company is doing,
I think
but
it's going around the league. I think all the practice jerseys have those slits on the shoulders,
slits.
random colors. No one sweat from the shoulders, Glenn.
That's it. And their
But we'll see
your shoulder pad is right where that sweat
the cut.
slit is.
Yeah.
I thought they were trying to move away from blades cutting anything, but clearly the Fanatics, what's it called, factory, the workers were
Yep.
given skate blades to just cut the shoulder pads, and then it's given to another team. Hey, just put a random ass color, fill in the fucking hole, and ship it to one of you lucky subscribers. $50 evaluation because Fanatics is trash, but the NHL continues to do very questionable collaborations. So, guys, one last thing before we let you go. Thank you for watching. We love you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Everything's down below in the description. And we will see you next week. Because we're pigeons, we don't want to give you a date yet about when shit's dropping. Just look at Spotify or wherever you fucking...
Spotify. Let's go check on YouTube. Maybe Spotify one day will appear.
Yeah, if we get, a sponsor from Spotify.
We'll be the next multimillionaires from that podcast platform.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Like Mr. B said, when we conclude the videos, we have to be short. See ya.